You up, Tets? What do you got?
Am I?
It's you. Step on the rod. You were taller than the little guy holding up his hand. Are you taller than what you're going to talk about?
No, in no way, shape, or form. No, back, I think it was 5 or 6 months ago. It was back, I think, episode 40, if I remember. I looked this morning and forgot the number. I talked about the Godzilla movie Planet of the Monsters on Netflix. It's CGI anime. It's done by written by the head writer for Madoka Magica. But the second movie came out, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. We've just had everything going on, so I haven't had a chance to talk about it yet. But I watched it the day after it dropped because, of course, I did. And it was amazing. The name of the movie, that's the 5-second review. It's amazing. Go watch it. No, the name of the movie, though, is Godzilla City on the Edge of Battle. Which I thought was an interesting title coming into the movie. Like, it's a little bit of a mouthful, and so mild spoilers from the first one. If you're worried about things, it's nothing that I hadn't really talked about in the last video, so go watch the movie or the first video we talked about things. But to kind of catch you guys up on what had happened, they had Godzilla, monsters started coming on Earth. Godzilla attacked. Humanity was not going to win. 2 different alien species end up coming to Earth to help them fight off Godzilla. The Exif and the Illisaludo, I think is how you pronounce the other one. And then so they both appeared, tried to help us fight Godzilla. We all failed, so we all decided to get on a ship together and fly around the universe trying to find a planet that we can call home by using jump gates. We were running out of supplies. We realized, okay, maybe there's been enough time gone by because of jump gates that it's been like 10,000 years. Maybe Godzilla won't be around anymore. Ends up it was 20,000 years that had passed, and Godzilla was still around. But there's no humankind on Earth. So the fact that this was called City on the Edge of Battle, I was intrigued because it was like, it shouldn't be a city. Like, there was one, you did see some like semi-humanoid characters, which end up making a more prominent appearance in this movie. But it still was a little like, I'm curious where this is going with it. So since I just mentioned them, I guess I'll bring them up next. Eventually, things happen and they meet up with this group, and it's essentially these they haven't really identified if it's humankind that have been left over that have evolved into something new, or things evolved into a human like appearance. What was that called? Convergent evolution? Is that what it's called?
I think so.
Yeah. Type deal. So they weren't really sure. And the people pretty much worship Mothra. Like, they're very much the like, if you've seen any Godzilla movie with Mothra, you'll know about the people I'm talking about. Like, there's the 2 twins that are the heralds of Mothra, and like the whole 9 yards. This is clearly Mothra's tribe.
Mothra!
Which honestly, Mothra, sorry, tangent, but Mothra is like, I think, my favorite Godzilla monster, besides Godzilla, because I don't know. I've always loved Mothra.
I think he's the one everyone knows.
Well, Mothra actually had his own movie series before he joined Godzilla. Like, there's a legitimate Mothra line of movies.
But Tats, what about King Kong? What about King Kong?
I would kick you right now, but I can't really kick you.
They're setting up that movie universe, right?
I know.
I mean, there's already a movie with the 2 of them.
Yeah, there is. It's not.
They're
it's
doing
not
another
bad
one.
Godzilla one.
The new King Kong is in the same Godzilla universe.
Oh, I hadn't heard anything.
They're trying to build the cinematic universe in the new King Kong movie, or not King Kong, but the new Godzilla that's coming. But anyways,
yeah. Which still fun, but King Kong, I mean, come on, he's just a giant monkey. But
that's why they made him so freaking huge.
Giant moth, come on.
Or a giant lizard.
Exactly. Way more entertaining than a giant monkey. but no, so But the other prominent monster in City on the Edge of Battle is Mechagodzilla. They made reference to him in the first movie. The Bila Saludo, in particular, had helped humankind create Mechagodzilla. When they were going to activate it, Godzilla attacked. They didn't get to activate Mechagodzilla, but they were like, hey, maybe we can figure out where he's at and activate him. Things don't really go as per these movies as planned.
Isn't so.
But the form that Mechagodzilla ends up taking in this movie is really, really interesting. So I guess mild spoilers for the movie. So I guess for the next 10, 20 seconds, plug your ears and la 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 if you don't want to hear. But the Bila Saludo, when they built Mechagodzilla, they used this thing called nanometal. And nanometal is a metal designed to... obviously, you have nanomachines that are helping it and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's kind of this living metal, and that's what Mechagodzilla was made of. Well, this living metal permeates the city that he was in, and it's become this living city of metal. And that is obviously this city on the edge of battle. And so they kind of start making that their headquarters, and they start using that nanometal to produce weapons to try to fight Godzilla with. In the first movie, they found a working strategy for fighting Godzilla. If you want to know how, go watch the movie because it's awesome, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But they try to build on that in this one, and you guys know me with mechs. They upgraded the battle suits to fly, and they called them vultures.
So it has everything you want in it.
Oh, it was so good. Like, so they call them the vultures, and again, they use this nanometal to allow the pilot to essentially be able to interface with this thing on a one-to-one like basis. So they don't have to worry that they're like piloting something. It's their waving of the hand to say that it's just them extended. But they end up making 3 of them, and the 3 pilots. One of them's the main character, and the I guess semi-love interest, and then one of the Bila Saludo. But
Godzilla has a love interest?
No, the main character, not
I'm
Godzilla.
just messing around.
Although, I mean, no, been around for 10,000 years. How do we know it's the same Godzilla? Maybe it's.
Apparently, there are novel prequels to these movies.
Oh, there are? I did not know that.
You should not have told Tats. Now he'll have to read them.
Like novella, they're like 200 pages.
Yeah,
I don't know if they've been translated, so there might be fan translation.
I'll have to hunt those down.
They're light novels.
Oh.
The A1 Studios. It's going to adapt.
Please say it ain't so.
No.
So one of the things that I thought was really interesting. So in the first movie, they kind of just portrayed the humans, the Exif, and the Bila Saludo as this just unified force against Godzilla. There's was no racial tensions whatsoever. And then in this one, you start seeing you start realizing that there were cracks that you didn't see, and you're starting to see the fault lines. Not so much between the humans and the Exif and the Bila Saludo, but rather between the Bila Saludo and the Exif. They, in all reality, they kind of are, if you were to take just general fantasy tropes, elves and dwarves, if you were to make dwarves larger than humans. But because the Bila Saludo like create things, and then the Exif are like these spiritual, mystical people who,
they're all noble and elegant and stuff.
And they're higher evolved than you, and
They're elves.
Exactly. But so both of their stories, actually, the planets they come from had been destroyed by a monster similar to Godzilla. And again, part of the whole idea is that whatever sentient life on a planet decides that they're more powerful than a god, or they are the god.
The
of
anti-spirals.
Then that planet will create an epitome of destruction to bring them down, and then allow the planet to regrow again. And so the Exif were chased off their planet by theirs. The Billasaludo, in order to defeat theirs, threw their planet into a black hole and then fled the planet.
Godzilla Logon. Who the hell do you think I am?
So they kind of have this background in sort of fighting Godzilla-like things, but not exactly being
Kaiju,
successful.
basically.
Yeah, but not really being successful. Like, the only reason why the Billasaludo did one was because they threw their whole planet into a black hole. I don't think that counts as success, personally. Maybe other people might see otherwise.
They're still alive, and it's not.
But
depends on your pragmatism level.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the interesting things is, like, you start to see the thought process difference between these two races. And so humankind is kind of caught between the two. And specifically the main character, Haruo. And he has to make a decision. How are we... Because all the remainder of humankind is kind of looking up to him as the leader. And so he has to make this decision. How are we as a race going to proceed? And how are we going to continue? And you see like a lot of different influences on both sides. One part that, like, the geekiness in me about Godzilla movies that got me really excited. At one point, the Exif character, who's kind of his, like, I guess, spiritual mentor, guide, whatever his name is, Mephistes, which to me sounds too much like Mephistopheles.
That's what I was about to say.
But
Mr. Mephistopheles.
I think that's on purpose. But he tells him, like, the creature that destroyed our planet, it took us a long time to give him a name, and even that name we don't say aloud because he is so terrifying he would make Godzilla quake in his boots. Like, is essentially the idea.
So he's gonna fight him eventually.
Yeah, well, and so he comes over and he whispers the name in Haruo's ear, and he's like, just remember this name when fear will overtake you. And like, at the end of the movie, you see him remembering the name, and, things happen. Credits roll. But in the post-credits scene, they actually reveal the name that was spoken to him. And again, mild spoilers, and I don't know how much you guys are worried about spoilers yourselves.
Go
on.
You
guys are on Godzilla stuff anyway.
Is it King Ghidorah?
It's King Ghidorah. I was so happy. Movie 3 is gonna have King Ghidorah.
His ultimate nemesis, as it's called.
Yes. Well, because King Ghidorah himself was, and then Mecha King Ghidorah, and then in the final movie of the whatever that era was, you had Weapon X, which became Kaiser Ghidorah, who was like a really big bad boss.
Godzilla King of Monsters, the one that comes out next year here, which it was shown at like Comic-Con, was involves Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, and his ultimate nemesis, the three-headed King Ghidorah.
Yeah. So. King Ghidorah is so awesome. I really do like him as a villain monster. But yeah, the movie's good. It is very good, especially if you are into the whole Godzilla thing, kaiju movies. And if you're into anime, because again, it follows a whole bunch of anime tropes, and it's done by anime teams. So I mean, it scratches all the right itches for me. So I'm looking forward to the next one.
They haven't released date yet.
I think it just looks
like another half year to a year probably.
Yeah, I think it was about 6 months. Like, it was 6. So it released here 3 months after it releases in Japan, and that was the case.
Planet Eater says this year.
Is it this year? Yeah.
November in Japan this year.
Okay, so then we'll see it probably in February next year. Ooh, my birthday.
Yeah, because we got this. Japan got this one in May.
Yep, and we got it in July. And then actually in the last episode when we were measuring out the dates, I was like, I guess we're gonna get this next one in July. And so I'm hoping February would be nice.
I mean, because this one was picked up by, it looks like, Netflix, where the first one was Funimation. Yeah. So the next.
Was the first one Funimation?
That's what this is saying. Oh wait, no, sorry. It is all Netflix. Sorry, it was.
Okay.
I was looking at current period, so that's why. Sorry,
Oh,
Shin
got it.
Godzilla was Funimation,
Gotcha.
which is 2016 to the present is the current period of Godzilla.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, should be about the same time frame then.
Yep.
Better or worse than the last one?
I think better, but more because the first one, if you didn't know that it was the start of a trilogy and it was easy to miss, there were a lot of questions that would get brought up, and you're like, what was the point of this? Who was that character? Why did they focus on this thing?
This one, they get more into the swing of things?
Yeah, they start answering some of those questions. They don't leave as many unanswered questions in the movie itself as well. I feel like it's a little bit more action-driven than the last one. And, I mean, to be fair, too, it's Godzilla, so they, like, each movie he's going to suddenly get more powers and more powerful, right. So they kind of turned him up a little bit even more, so... but they did a lot more with character development and showing the positives and negatives and showing them struggle with things as opposed to just this guy's pissed at Godzilla and wants to kill him. This guy is the leader of the military. You had more character and more personality to them.
That's cool.
So. And you got to hate characters you liked, and you got to like characters you hated, which is always a good thing in my book. Like, if you get to the point where you're like, I despise this character, but right now I really feel for him, or, no, I loved you, and now you betrayed me.
No, I love you.
That's I always feel like that's a good caricature of humankind. So.